My religious wife got roped and is refusing to abort the baby, so I told her I would leave her if she kept the baby. I love my wife more than anything in the whole world. We met at our local church. I'm Christian, but I don't really follow the Bible to its extreme like my wife does. I just try my best to be a good person. My wife and I got married after only 2 years of dating, and because both of our families are quite wealthy, neither of us works. Most of our time is spent traveling the globe and being together. After my 25th birthday, I realized that I really wanted to have kids, and when I told my wife about this, she also seemed really excited to start a family. She said it was always a dream of hers to have a big family. We immediately started trying, however a couple of weeks went by and we hadn't conceived yet. During one night as my wife went out to get some groceries, and according to my wife, some random intoxicated guy decided to rope her. I'm not going to go into the details on a public forum, but it was absolutely devastating for me and my wife. I tried to let the situation cool down a bit before I talked more to my wife about it, but then that's when one day I saw her crying on the couch. She shook my whole world when she told me that she was pregnant. I tried to comfort her, but only one thing was on my mind, which was whether she was going to keep the baby or not. I asked her what she was planning on doing, and she told me that her parents would hate her if she aborted a baby, and that it wasn't a holy thing to do. Now let me give some context. I know my wife is going through an absolutely devastating point in her life. However, I didn't want to raise an absolute stranger's child, and I felt that just seeing the child would remind my wife and I of the horrible experience that happened to her. I kept silent about it for a couple of weeks, but after seeing how devastated my wife was, I decided to tell her that she needed to get an abortion. She kept on refusing, and after a couple of days I decided for her own good I would have to force her to get an abortion. I decided to give her an ultimatum and told her that either she would abort that baby, or I would leave. She said I was being unfair, and that I wanted to be a father anyway, so she didn't see what the issue was, considering she was the one who had to suffer from the circumstances. I told her that I wouldn't be negotiating on this, and that if she didn't want to throw away our 7-year relationship, then she would have to get that baby aborted. After that she said she needed time to think and left to go back to her parents' house. A couple of hours later at home, I received a call from my father-in-law screaming at me. To summarize, basically what he said was, "It's all your fault you didn't protect my daughter from getting roped, so you have no right to not want to take care of this child. Do you know how much my daughter is suffering because of you? Surely it's not healthy for the baby blah blah blah." I honestly couldn't stand him yelling at me and just repeated that I have enough self-respect not to raise someone else's child. What my wife did next though shocked me, and I can't believe the choice she made. Update: my religious wife got roped and is refusing to abort the baby, so I told her I would leave her if she kept the baby. After my wife got pregnant from a very unfortunate rope, I gave her an ultimatum to either abort the baby or else I would leave her. She said she needed some time to think and went to her parents' place. I guess she explained the situation to them because my father-in-law very angrily called me and started saying, "It's all your fault you didn't protect my daughter from getting roped, so you have no right to not want to take care of this child. Do you know how much my daughter is suffering because of you? Surely it's not healthy for the baby blah blah blah." I honestly couldn't stand him yelling at me and just repeated that I have enough self-respect not to raise someone else's child. A day later my wife called me and she informed me that she had made her choice. She said she was going to keep the baby because a life was more important than our relationship. I was absolutely stunned by her choice and couldn't even respond. The only reason I made the ultimatum was because I was almost 100% sure that she was going to take my side over anything. She hung up on me, and I just sat on the edge of my bed for hours, before I realized that it was probably her parents that were manipulating her to think this way. I tried to call them but my number was blocked, so I decided to go straight to their house and confront them. Even though my wife's dad was an extremely big and scary ex-military type of guy, I still went in with the full intention of talking to them. However, upon arriving, when I saw my wife, I just broke down into tears. Although it wasn't my proudest moment, I started pleading for her to come back, and saying that it was all a mistake. I was hoping that she and I could just talk. My wife started crying, and I'm not sure if it was because she was happy, or because she was sad, but I remember her father kicking me out and slamming the door on me. I don't know what to do now, and all I want is my wife back. Life is so unfair for me.